I'm going to confess something. I should say that I always start from the script. I'm kind of a package guy. You know the 3 rules of real estate are location, location, location. I always say cast, cast, cast. First of all, it's in black and white. And I already rolled my eyes. Then I said, who's directing? They said, well, it's a first-time director. I rolled my eyes again. Well, that movie was called Pi, and it was Darren Aronofsky's first film. I'm Gary Rubin. I'm currently executive vice president of a company called Cohen Media, which is an art house distribution company here in the U.S., has a foreign sales arm. We also own some theaters. We also produce some movies. I was producing theater in college at the University of Michigan. I kind of fell in love with it. It was more years than I care to admit. It was the 80s, and the cable business was absolutely exploding. So I thought maybe I'd cut my teeth there. So I went to work for Showtime. And I got a little itchy because I wasn't doing exactly what I wanted to do. I had produced an original musical in college that one of the writers had immediately gotten a job at Saturday Night Live, like practically right out of school. And I was partnered with another gentleman who he grew up with, and the writer offered to do a script for us for low budget Writers Guild minimum. And it turned out to be very funny, and I got a little taste of producing at a very young age. We set it up a couple of different times. It did not get made, but it was a very talented script, and I got the bug. I had my own distribution company for a while called First Independent Pictures. The one that I was the most involved with there that I'm very proud of was a David Mamet project. He did not direct the film, but it was from his own play, and he wrote the screenplay. It's called Edmund. Very dark film, but I'm very proud of it. It was directed by Stuart Gordon of Reanimator fame, and he also did the story for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It had a fantastic cast led by William Macy, and I'm proud to say I put the first money in. I was an executive producer, and I distributed the film domestically. And I did it in a very small way, but it was successful, relatively. I was very, very proud of it. We have the Netflix conundrum, shall we say, right now, where they are buying movies and they're giving them very, very limited theatrical releases, if at all, and putting them right on Netflix. So, will the movie theater survive? I hope so. I know my company believes it will, because we're buying theaters, but there's no guarantee. We'll see. And so I think the whole question of what is domestic distribution is up for grabs at the moment. First of all, let's talk about television, because so much action there, and it really has. Independent film had its. We let TV steal our thunder, quite frankly. Netflix, they have 30 shows on now. Supposedly they're going to have 60 next year, original TV shows, and everybody's got 1 or 2 or 5, and that's a challenge for the independent sector and for the long form movie format. But so it's got to be things that complement those shows, because people are so willing to stay home and watch Netflix now. So you got to get something that would get people out. My current company, we cater to the older demo. Those people are still going to the movies, specialty films and such. But it's the younger generation is going to be an issue, and as everybody ages, we'll see what happens. It's going to be challenging. But someone should focus on horror, because clearly there's still a real business there. Get Out was a sort of format-changing film this year. They're talking about it getting nominations. There's a horror business. The young people will go to the movies for horror, so that's one thing. Now, big horror I'm talking about, not little direct-to-video horror, which is just about done. Personally, I am a fan of the specialty film. I always will be. I'm always going to go see Paul Thomas Anderson's movies and Wes Anderson's movies, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Everything Scorsese does, I'm going to see. I think if they're good enough, they will be in the cinema. So I think director-driven is the short answer on that. Talent-driven. But your project has to be special. There's no doubt about it. The script has to be good. There's no doubt about it. But I want to hear first who's directing, what cast they have so far, what's the budget, what's the financing plan, who wrote it. Then, if I like all that, then I'll read the script. But the script does have to be good. The more pieces there are to the puzzle in the financing, the more you need an agency to help collect and disperse the money correctly. So, yes, I do think that is something you have to think about. The more internationally driven you are, especially, if it's a small American film, maybe less so. But it is a necessary evil, yes. I don't know if it's an evil, but it's necessary. There's all kinds of subsidies. There are state-driven subsidies. Sometimes they're tax-driven. Sometimes they're not. There are city. There are country. Not too much in our country though. Europe has so many more opportunities if you can partner with somebody over there. It's just so much easier to get films made over there than it is here. Then, of course, let's not forget about the Kickstarters of the world, which is, free money in essence.
Do you feel that's a viable option for?
I think if you're making $1 million film and you're short 100,000, I absolutely do. If you're making a $10 million film, it's not gonna help you too much. But I think if you're making your first film, yeah, I think so. I really do. I'll have a great story for you. Well, somebody came to me about 20 years ago, and they said to me, I'd like you to help me out with something. I've been approached to invest in a film. I said, well, tell me about it. They said, well, first of all, it's in black and white. And I already rolled my eyes. Then I said, who's directing? They said, well, it's a first-time director. I rolled my eyes again. And I said, what's it about? They said, well, it's a really, really weird story. It's kind of hard to understand, but it's interesting. I said, well, okay. I kind of rolled my eyes again, I said, who's in it? Oh, we're not going to do it with any cast. I rolled my eyes again. Well, that movie was called Pi, and it was Darren Aronofsky's first film. But for every pie, that's 1 in 10,000, and there's 9,999 that don't work out. So I always teach in my class, the 3 rules of real estate are location, location, location. I always say cast, cast, cast. You have to get some cast in there to protect yourself in case the filmmaker isn't brilliant and doesn't nail it. You have to get some cast in, and then you'll have some value to the film, even if it isn't fantastic. Oh, it's crucial. It's certainly crucial in the distribution process, but I think you can develop awareness for a project while you're in production and trying to get your film sold. So yes, social media important.